with us and Dr. Holland, and we have two special guests from the Career Development Center here at Texas Tech. We have Blaine and Ashley, another Ashley. So, you know, and she spells it differently, of course. And so one more Ashley in our group here. But we want to thank you for joining us. And before we actually get started, I want to make sure it looks like we're already recording. So that's good. I just want to make sure everybody's okay with that. A thumbs up. And all right, great. So we're going to record this and of course post it to our YouTube channel after the fact, and all your peers can get a look at that there. So with no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our guest speakers, and they have a presentation and a lot of great information for your career development and your career management. And so I'm sure we'll learn a lot from them. So here we go.
Excellent. Well, thank you again for having us. We are very excited to talk to you today about managing your career and some of the details that go into that process. And so I'm Ashley, and that's Blaine over there. To get us started, we do have some questions to hopefully help get you thinking. And so for this first question, I'm wondering how best to engage with a virtual audience. Is it unmute and they talk, or monitor the chat, or I'm open to whichever. So let's maybe do unmute and then also with our face-to-face audience. So I'm curious, thinking about your past experience, how many years of experience would you say that you've had if we were to think about years of experience? I see some bashful, I'm not sure. What about from our virtual audience? What do we think? Thinking years of experience.
You can throw it in the chat too.
Yeah. I see one chat. Okay, a few people are responding via chat. It's 13 professionally, 16 to 36 years of experience professionally, 6 years of experience. So we're all range. I'm trailing with 6, absolutely.
I have about 25.
25. So we're up in double digits. We're single to double digits. All of this is fine. It helps me and Blaine know how to cater our audience. I'm also curious to hear, we'll keep the chat up if it's okay, Dr. Robertson. What are some titles that y'all have held in the past? So I'll start. Mine has been student assistant, program coordinator, lead counselor, assistant director, and now associate director. What are some other titles that are in the group?
Drill sergeant.
Drill sergeant, excellent.
That one kind of throws everybody off. Correctional administrator.
Excellent. Okay, what about you?
So teacher aide, research assistant.
Okay, excellent. What about in the chat? I'm seeing teacher, academic advisor, school counselor, secondary teacher, current CTE administrator, post-secondary FCE educator, accountant, adjunct. Ooh, the accountant, that's interesting. State program coordinator. Okay, excellent. What about you, Blake? Do you want to share some of your
Yeah, I've been a graduate part-time teaching instructor, a full-time instructor, a section coordinator, a training specialist, and now I'm a career development specialist.
Excellent. Okay, lots of specialties in there.
Yes, yeah.
And then the final question, thinking about managing your career, I'm curious to hear about any mentors that you've had and how you would describe those mentors. Maybe some words or characteristics that come to mind when you think about your mentor.
I think all the ones I've had are very passionate about the field. So it keeps me passionate as well.
Yeah. Okay, so some passion specifically about the fields. What about you?
I think online they were available and ready to share.
Available and ready to share. Excellent.
We have accessible from Sydney.
Passionate, inspiring, and role models from Cindy, and Cindy. Excellent. Time manager from Julie. Excellent. What about you, Blaine? What about some mentors for you?
Yeah, I think willing to listen and ask good questions.
Yeah, absolutely. I think about my mentors were really good at helping me find blind spots. And so they were kindly direct and then also challenging, helping call me a little bit higher than maybe I felt comfortable to be. Yeah.
Some of mine were because of the careers I had in military and in corrections. The good mentors helped me deal with the adversity and challenges of those fields.
Yeah.
Is where they were very helpful.
Yeah.
And dealing with the stress of it. So that's one of the things I appreciated.
So almost a buffer, like I think not like a contributor to stress, but a buffer for that stress. That's awesome. So open doors, provide opportunities, and also provide challenge. They believed in you and supported you, set goals you didn't think you could reach.
Yeah, excellent time management.
That's really good. Okay, so I think when we think about managing your career, something that Blaine is going to introduce, this ties into an idea that we're going to talk about a little bit, as well as our branding and thinking about how branding, I think both Blaine and I, when we talked about that term, we were both very recoiled because we are not products, we are people. But if we think about our branding with relation to career, it's all about how we carry ourselves and how people would describe us. And so if we think about those strong relationships, how people would describe us would often be what we would consider to be our brand. So if we'll go to the next slide. Open door, yeah. See if we can, there we go. Okay, so today we're going to be talking a little bit about those. So we had those questions with, but we'll talk also about career ladder versus lattice, rethinking branding and translating your brand to documents, and then also some interview skills. So I'm going to give it away to Blaine to talk about our first point.
Yeah, so I'm a big picture guy, and so I like to think in terms of ideas that are going to help change the way that I think in terms of thinking about my career and my career path. And I know a lot of you know this, looking at the experience that you all have, a lot of you know this better than I do. So I'm not naive enough to think that I'm going to be telling you anything new here today, but I think opening up the pathway for those conversations can still be a really helpful thing. So as we talk about a career ladder or a career lattice, I'm just curious, has anybody heard of those terms before, and what do you know about those? If you would be willing to unmute yourself, that would be amazing.
On the career ladder side, or career lattice, is just, many of us start at the bottom and work our way up and into different areas that are related to our particular field. I mean, I think of what you just mentioned a while ago when you asked us the question, what kind of positions have we had, titles that we've had. To me, that was how I went up the ladder. I started out as a high school teacher, middle school teacher, high school teacher, and then became an administrator. And then now here I am at post-secondary level. So to me, that's what a career ladder or career lattice is that you're moving up the ladder related to the field that you're in.
Yeah, absolutely. Does anyone else have thoughts to share? It's fine.
Well, I was going to give a Seinfeld reference on.
Perfect.
Love it.
I think that was the first thing that came to mind is, just as Dr. Miller described, there's, you have your levels and you start, with your level 1 support, but then you eventually want to move up to your level where you're managing and being supportive of those that you're overseeing.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So when we talk about these things, and Cheryl, thank you so much, and share all of these thoughts, we can I've got this illustration up here to help you think about the career ladder versus the career lattice. And I think for a lot of us now, the career lattice is a really helpful tool to help us think about our career pathways. Increasingly, we're seeing people more and more, we identify with our jobs more and more than people may be used to in the past, where our career is in a sense built into or is an integral part to our identity, for better or for worse. And so using the career lattice is a really good way, I think, to help maybe shift your position in how you even think about your career, because a lot of us can carry guilt or ill will or any number of negative feelings with the way our career path has turned out. I was talking with Dr. Robertson this week, came in and said, I kind of had my career path all mapped out in this traditional way that I grew up with, where you've got the career ladder. And I was like, I'm going to start here. I'm going to do my undergrad. I'm going to do my master's. I'm going to do my PhD. And then I'm going to be teaching. And that was kind of my plan, this very linear path. What happens is that life gets in the way, right? Right as I had started my PhD program, as I was sharing, I had some life circumstances of family health issues that sort of brought everything to a halt. And I'll be honest, I struggled with that when it first happened, because I thought I've got this plan and I was holding on to it very tightly. And it's like, okay, if the ladder breaks down, where do you go? So the career lattice is a way to think about, okay, if I go in positions that are maybe non-traditional for the types of work that I want to do, how can I reframe that even internally in my mind to make that a productive experience, right? So my first job after leaving the PhD